focus of my investigation has been to try to form a better understanding of the way in which Cherokee culture has named and classified plants and fungi and mosses and lichens, non-animal life forms. And so to start off, it is important to recognize that Cherokee culture holds dear a principle that names are sacred and names belong to the world, and that names are borrowed from the world. And so there isn't much emphasis on assigning a proper name to most things. And so we see that a majority of these plants and things are named using verbs as well as adjectives and locationals. So the genus would usually be a verb, which describes a certain physical attribute or a practical property of this of these life forms. And then you specify whether it's the one with blue flowers, or it's the big one, or it's the one you find in the swamp, or the one you find on the hillside. And so it's a very, I don't want to say simple classification system, but it makes a lot of sense because you can form a picture in your mind when you're, a lot of times if you're inside of that language and you're hearing the names given to these plants. But then that brings us to this other style of naming, which we see in Cherokee ethnobotany, and that is the opaque nomenclature, or the proper names. And so with that principle of names being sacred and borrowed, we can conclude or speculate that these names with the proper nouns are coming from other cultures, that they pre-exist Cherokee culture, because I've heard that those names already existed in that place, among that landscape, before Cherokee people came into that area. And so some of the examples is like uwaga in Cherokee is passion flower, which the passion fruit comes from. And that is the only thing that uwaga means, is passion flower. There's no verb or any description. And but then it's interesting when you compare some of these to other languages who will have been around the area, around this landscape. And so the Creeks, so speakers of Miccosukee, Muskogee Creek, and other Seminole languages have similar names, like, for example, Opaga. So Uwaga can come from Upaga, and we know this because since Cherokee does not have a bilabial sound like p or b, then it is substituted with the w sound, the w, which is a bilabial semiconsonant or